The journey home holds a universal resonance, touching a chord deep within the human experience. The word home carries a weight far beyond its simple utterance. It is not merely a physical shelter, but a profound symbol of identity, connection, and purpose. Across millennia and cultures, the narrative of returning home has captivated our collective imagination, reflecting our deepest yearnings and the struggles that keep us from belonging. Consider Odysseus, the Greek hero whose voyage from the ruins of Troy was expected to take mere weeks. Instead, it stretched into a decade-long Odyssey filled with monstrous creatures, divine interventions, temptations, losses, and profound transformation. Why does this ancient tale, first told over 3,000 years ago, continue to echo through time? The answer lies in its reflection of our own internal and external journeys. Odysseus embodies the human tension between the longing for home and the allure of adventure, the conflict between duty and desire, and the battle against both worldly obstacles and personal flaws to achieve wholeness. In our modern world, Odysseus' story finds parallels in countless lives. The soldier returning from war, forever altered by trauma, carries the weight of experiences that reshape their sense of self. The refugee crossing perilous seas in search of safety mirrors Odysseus' struggle against an unforgiving world. The wanderer, lost in the complexities of modern existence, seeks to rediscover their true identity. At its core, the hero's journey is one of transformation, a departure from one state of being, and a return as someone reshaped by trials, losses, and lessons. This epic is not just a tale of adventure, but a map of the human experience, charting the path from fragmentation to wholeness. To fully grasp the significance of this story, we must first explore the world that birthed it, a world already ancient to its poet, Homer. The events of the Odyssey are set around 1200 BCE, during the waning days of the Bronze Age, a sophisticated era of palaces, trade networks, written records, and powerful city-states. This was a time of bustling maritime commerce and royal bureaucracies, where civilizations like Mycenae and Troy thrived. Yet, between 1200 and 1150 BCE, this vibrant world collapsed in a cataclysm known as the Bronze Age collapse. Cities burned, empires crumbled, writing systems vanished, and trade routes dissolved. Scholars debate the causes: climate shifts, natural disasters, invasions, or internal revolts, but the outcome was undeniable. A complex, interconnected system gave way to centuries of isolation and decline, known as the Greek Dark Age. During this Dark Age, the stories of the Trojan War and its aftermath were preserved orally, passed down through generations of storytellers. By the 8th century BCE, when these tales were likely committed to writing, they carried the weight of a lost golden age, filtered through centuries of oral tradition. This gives the Odyssey a dual perspective. It is set in the grandeur of the Bronze Age, but composed in a world of emerging city-states, renewed literacy, and colonial expansion. Archaeologists have sought to uncover the historical truths behind the epic. Heinrich Schliemann's discovery of Troy in the 1870s confirmed the city's existence, and excavations at Mycenae, Pylos, and Ithaca have revealed palace complexes reminiscent of those in Homer's descriptions. Yet the Odyssey is not a historical record, but a cultural artifact, blending myth, memory, and human experience into a timeless work of art. The epic begins with an invocation. "Sing to me, O Muse, of the man of many devices." These words introduce one of humanity's greatest literary works, yet the identity of its creator remains a mystery. Was Homer a singular genius, a collective name for many poets, or, as some speculate, a woman? Ancient traditions portray him as a blind poet from Ionia in modern-day Western Turkey, with 7 cities claiming to be his birthplace. His name may derive from a term meaning hostage or one who follows, hinting at a figure bound to tradition, regardless of his identity. Homer represents the pinnacle of an oral poetic tradition that allowed complex epics to be composed and shared without writing. This was achieved through formulaic composition, where poets mastered a repertoire of metrical phrases, recurring scenes and story patterns, weaving them into performances that were both familiar and fresh. These poets, known as eudoi or singers, were the living archives of their culture, preserving values, history, and identity. Around the 8th century BCE, the advent of alphabetic writing transformed this oral tradition, allowing epics to be recorded. Whether commissioned by a ruler like Pisistratus of Athens or through another process, this shift marked a cultural milestone. The Odyssey we read today retains traces of its oral roots phrases, like "wind arc sea" and "gride Athena," and scenes that follow predictable patterns while showcasing the artistry of a master poet or poets. Its structure is as cunning as its hero, employing techniques that would influence storytelling for centuries. Most notably, it begins in medias res, plunging us into Odysseus' 7th year of captivity on Calypso's island, with earlier adventures like encounters with the Cyclops, Sirens, and Scylla revealed later through his own storytelling. This creates a complex narrative timeline with 24 books covering 40 days while encompassing a decade of wandering. The poem also uses ring composition, where themes and motifs are introduced and later mirrored in reverse, creating a symmetrical structure. Divine assemblies frame the narrative. Telemachus' journey parallels his father's, and the hospitality shown to Telemachus contrasts with the suitor's violations at home. These patterns deepen the exploration of themes like home, identity, and order. The language itself, written in dactylic hexameter, lends a rhythmic power that aided both memory and artistry, becoming the hallmark of Western epic poetry. Compared to its companion, the Iliad, the Odyssey shifts focus from martial glory to survival, from noble death to wise living, from conquest to self-mastery. At its heart is Odysseus, a hero defined not by physical prowess, but by intellect and adaptability. In the Iliad, he is a secondary figure, respected but overshadowed by warriors like Achilles. His true brilliance emerges with the Trojan horse, a cunning strategy that ends the war. This emphasis on wit over strength marks a new heroic ideal, reflected in his epithets: Polytropos, man of many turns, Polymatus, of many devices, and Poiklamites, of various wiles. These qualities suit a post-war world where survival depends on navigating complex threats, both human and divine. Yet Odysseus' cleverness is also his flaw. His hubris, as when he taunts the blinded Cyclops Polyphemus, provokes Poseidon's wrath, dooming his crew. This duality, faithful husband yet wayward lover, loving father yet reckless leader, makes him a deeply human figure. His journey is both external, across treacherous seas, and internal, through the complexities of his own nature. In Ithaca, a parallel crisis unfolds, threatening the social order. Odysseus' rocky island kingdom, though modest, is deeply tied to his identity. In his absence, 108 suitors have overrun his palace, consuming his resources and pressuring Penelope to remarry. Their actions, slaughtering livestock, harassing servants, plotting against Telemachus, violate the sacred code of hospitality, or xenia, central to the Homeric world. This breakdown reflects broader questions. What happens when authority vanishes? How fragile are the customs that bind society? The suitor's consumption also has economic consequences, draining wealth accumulated over generations, threatening Odysseus' legacy. Penelope navigates this crisis with intelligence equal to her husband's. Her famous ruse-weaving, a shroud for Laertes by day and unraveling it by night, delays the suitors for 3 years. This act symbolizes her dual role, fulfilling societal expectations while subverting them. She balances resistance and diplomacy, extracting gifts from the suitors while maintaining her autonomy. Her dreams and omens hint at a deeper connection to divine or subconscious knowledge. Yet her distress over Telemachus' safety reveals her vulnerability. Telemachus, meanwhile, undergoes his own transformation. Raised without a father, he struggles to assert authority in a palace under siege, prompted by Athena, disguised as Mentes. He calls an assembly, denouncing the suitors and securing a ship to seek news of Odysseus. His journey to Pylos and Sparta, where he meets Nestor and Menelaus, exposes him to proper hospitality and tales of his father's heroism. He learns Odysseus is alive but captive, gaining purpose and perspective. Through these encounters, Telemachus grows from a hesitant youth into a potential leader, mirroring his father's qualities. The divine dimension shapes both journeys. The gods are active players, with Athena supporting Odysseus and Poseidon opposing him. Athena, goddess of wisdom, sees her own qualities in Odysseus, offering guidance rather than removing obstacles. Poseidon's wrath, sparked by the Cyclops incident, represents chaotic natural forces. The gods uphold Xenia and punish its violation, yet their power is limited by fate or Moira, creating space for human agency. This interplay between divine will and human choice forms the moral universe of the epic, where actions have consequences, both natural and supernatural. The narrative begins with Telemachus, a young man caught between boyhood and adulthood. His daydreams of Odysseus' return give way to action when Athena urges him to seek his father. His assembly in Ithaca, the first in 20 years, marks his emergence as a public figure. In Pylos Nestor's tales of Odysseus' wartime brilliance affirm his father's worth. In Sparta, Menelaus and Helen offer hospitality and news. Odysseus is trapped on Calypso's island. Telemachus' journey is both a quest for information and a rite of passage, preparing him to stand beside his father. Penelope, meanwhile, embodies constrained agency. Neither wife nor widow, she uses cunning to maintain her position. Her shroud trick, diplomatic maneuvering, and subtle resistance preserve her autonomy. Her dreams of Odysseus, of omens reflect her emotional and spiritual depth. The suitor's plot to ambush Telemachus heightens her distress, underscoring the precarious balance she maintains. The household itself is a microcosm of disorder. The suitor's consumption disrupts the economic and social order, with loyal servants like Eumaeus and Euryclea contrasted against traitors like Melanius. The palace, once a center of order, becomes a site of violation, its resources plundered, its spaces desecrated. Even Argos, Odysseus' neglected dog, symbolizes this decay. His death upon recognizing his master, a poignant marker of loyalty amid ruin. Odysseus' own journey begins in stasis, captive on Calypso's island. Despite its paradisiacal beauty, it is a prison, offering immortality at the cost of identity. His tears by the sea reveal his longing for Ithaca, for Penelope, for his mortal life. Calypso, who loves him, reluctantly releases him at Zeus's command, aiding his departure with a raft and provisions. Her story highlights the gendered dynamics of divine power, adding depth to her character. Poseidon's storm soon tests Odysseus' resilience. The god's wrath destroys his raft, forcing him to rely on endurance and adaptability. Divine aid from Ino and his own ingenuity allow him to reach Phaeacia, crawling ashore in a symbolic rebirth. His encounter with Nausicaa showcases his diplomatic skill, transforming him from a wild stranger to a worthy guest. The Phaeacians' hospitality games, feasts, and safe passagery integrates him into society. When the bard Demodocus sings of Troy, Odysseus' tears prompt Alcinous to ask his name, leading to his revelation and the recounting of his adventures. The Odyssey weaves these threads: Odysseus' wanderings, Telemachus' growth, Penelope's resistance, and the household's crisis into a tapestry of human experience. It explores the tension between adventure and home, cunning and hubris, divine will and human agency. Its enduring power lies in its ability to reflect our own journeys. making Odysseus not just a hero of myth, but a mirror for our struggles to find our way home.